Hi, my name is Oscar Molina. I am an international sculptor and painter. Welcome to my studio here in Southampton, New York. I'd like to give you a tour and show you what I am working on. Right behind me, it's a dairy barn dating back to the 1900s, converted into a studio by the late sculptor Hal Buckner. Was a prominent sculptor based here in Southampton, known for his distinctive aluminum cutouts, mainly focusing on female forms. This stone garden is by Hal's late partner, Dorothy Lichtenstein. She was a prominent art patron. I'm so grateful to create on a place like this with so much rich history. A perfect setting for what I am well known for, my series Children of the World, which consist of large scale and small scale of sculptures, as well as some abstract paintings. My art deals with the intersection of politics, culture, and identity, and how they influence one another. After migrating from a war-torn country, El Salvador, to the United States, I came to see borders as an abstract concept. Through my sculptures and paintings, I bridge the divide the nations establish. Simultaneously, my work invites viewers to engage into their own feelings, emotions, and interpretations. I am proud to have exhibited Children of the World in different locations around the world, including the Outdoor Museum and Longhouse Reserve in East Hampton, New York, Cañada de la Virgen, Mexico, my hometown, El Salvador, Lago de Ilopango, and currently at the MOE Museum. I demonstrate initiatives and dedication to education. I work closely with organizations on programs and educational workshops. These programs include paintings and sculpture workshops, lectures, and panel discussions. This project functions as an educational tool designed to foster mutual respect among diverse communities. It aims to diminish and ultimately eliminate the divide between them and us. Through my visionary approach, I maintain art as a form of social practice, an invitation to foster meaningful conversations. I believe that these exchanges are essential to the preservation and evolution of our traditions. Door is open. Excelente, gracias. I am grateful to be here on this space with such a great history. And I can only tell you that I can be grateful. It's an honor for me to be here, and it's a big responsibility also to take on such a place like this. But I'm willing to take the task, and I've been asking for this task, and I think I'm here for a reason bigger than you and I. Well, I think that this is where the most intrigue and delicate pieces are starting to come to life. Once, because it's a huge open space full of extreme awesome energy. And secondly, because I think I mature a little more into the art world, where I feel like everything I do is practice, practice, practice. Here is where I'm coming into where a master created masterpieces. So I can only think that practicing can make me or get me closer to that level. Children of the World comes to play that role in modern days, where I left El Salvador in 1989 due to an inhumane situation, the war in 1970. So I left in 89, came to the States. For El Salvador, I am an immigrant. For this country that has given me so much, I'm an immigrant. I consider myself an migrant. So the idea with Children of the World is that we all migrants somehow, somewhere. Our parents or our ancestors have come to the place where we are today. I can say that I come from El Salvador to the Hamptons, you come from Brooklyn. And that kind of migration, it's what I'm talking about. And I think the Children of the World, it's migrating now from the north to the south. My goal is to connect this idea throughout the whole American continent. And one day in time, hope to have lined up all the museums, all the countries that have hosted these pieces to have a collective exhibition with Children of the World as a theme as migrants. I think that Children of the World not only speaks about the idea of migrating, but also speaks about the idea of how we, as multiple and intricate societies around the world, can come to one single place and understand ourselves by just viewing a composition of art. I have noticed that when I talk about Children of the World, all the nations, or at least here in New York, the majority of the time, the people come to speak to me about this composition and why this composition is because they feel they had their parents migrated from one country to another for some reason or another. And that gives me a great reward. I feel great about it, that I'm touching people's life in that way. But I also think that using this Children of the World as a tool for our younger generations to start understanding a little bit more of each other, I think that we can definitely have an impact around the world, agreeing that we just have to learn to respect each other and understand that he might be from a different country and he has a different culture, but he's still the same as I am. I'm just on this side of the world, and I have my values and I have my principles, and each one of us have just that, So going to museums or creating these programs for museums or for schools to make all the kids in one class understand that art can become the center of us for conversations, and not only enriching ourselves, but also enriching our community as a whole. In El Salvador, 3 years ago, basically, we started a construction, an investment, and it was just a construction development. I noticed that while we are working in this project, there is a lot of kids that are part of this community that go to school very early and they get home very early, and that's it. They just stay there and they don't leave the spot. The government of El Salvador, together with non-profit organizations, international organizations, created these projects called the Cubes. It's to help the community that have been more devastated by gangs and all of this nonsense. So they created these cubes where they teach kids after school art, music, computer science. They have a library in one of the spaces. They have dance classes, anything that you can think of. It's like they open a window to the world. And now these kids, as small as 3 years old to a 15-year-old, can come into this place and expand their horizons. I got involved in this particular cube that is basically a walking distance from this property that we work on. I'd engage on being part of the change. So I helped them by organizing not only the class together with the directors at this cube, but also providing all the utilities that comes, paints, brush, pencils, and pads, but also paying for the teacher. We take care of that. I take care of that. And I feel that we have made some headway. So the first class we had was 15 kids. Now we have over 30 kids. And what I like about it is that, my little effort to keep these kids involved in the art world is actually starting to show some benefits. We did an auction last year where we kind of like created funds to pay for these classes. And I invited 3 of their kids that have made these beautiful compositions to participate. And gratefully enough, we sold the pieces from these kids, so that gives them also an incentive to create, So I feel that through arts, we can definitely make an impact on a small child to see that there is great potentials just by keeping themselves creating. Last year, we did several programs with the Longhouse Reserve. I remember having the composition Children of the World migrating for the first time in history through the gardens of the Longhouse Reserve, which I thought it was magnificent. It really created a space for me, and it took, that kind of like was my platform to take from there over. From there, we created, or the team there, including Beth Copland, who created a program to go around with community to schools. And working with these kids, the first workshop that we did at Longhouse kind of like was the model, and it worked very well. So that day, I knew that something bigger was coming up. And I think that through education and interaction with these youngsters at a various locations, Children of the World can definitely make a difference. I have spoke to you early on my values and principles. That was one of the things that I left El Salvador with it, came to the United States, and I used those as my biggest assets. Paying attention to the farm that my parents had, where we had a dog, the goose, the cat, the pig, the cow, the horse, and all the animals that we had around. It was impressive to me to just understand on a later date how important those animals were toward life in our family. Huge lessons from them, just by paying attention how nature really expresses itself every day, with kindness, with love, with respect. We humans just too busy, we just too overwhelmed pretty much. And we just need to slow down a little bit and understand how nature has it all been taken care of. I remembered, and why I created this composition, this is where we're going to get there in 2 minutes. So there was this time where my parents decided to go to the nearby city, which we had to walk basically an hour and 30 minutes to get to where the bus will pick us up and then take us to the city. We had this dog called Sutil, which is our beloved dog. My parents left in the corner of the woods over there this light that they had to light their way when they walk for an hour and a half, like at 3 o'clock in the morning, to get to the bus stop, right? So they left the light in this corner, and the dog decided to guard that light, and he was there for 2.5 days until my parents came back. And then they forgot the light, went back home, and they were like, where is our dog? So they right away remembered that where they left the light, they will find the dog there. And yes, indeed, they were. So they found the dog over there. That tells me, the responsibility that an animal actually played in our lives. A dog will take full responsibility of you as the person who they always going to look up to, and the person who they supposed to take care of it. And so for that, I felt that the loyalty of a dog, it's priceless. That's where you learn to be able to respect others. Like if we were just kind enough, very small percentage to understand that the world is cruel out there. But if you didn't pay attention to what cruelty is, like, my parents left him over there for 2.5 days, no water, no food. He didn't care. He just knew he had a job. And he knew that that was his responsibility. He could have died there probably. But yes, so we went and picked him up. Got him back. He received them like nothing happens. That's loyalty, and that's love. When I created this composition of the farm, is because I felt that I owe them honoring. I owe them so much of what I am today. So there's 7 animals. There could be more, but so far I am up to 7. What I learned from the goose, it's an animal that basically lives himself, finds a partner, lives all his life with the partner. If the partner dies, he'll never get together again. That's loyalty. And also, he's a protective animal, more protective than a dog. When it comes to protecting the house or the people that he cares about it, he's very protective. That's a goose. Not only that, but if you pay attention how a goose does things, he always raises his chest, always with the chin high. It's like when he walks, he owns the world. And he's just as simple as that. So one of the lessons that I learned from that was being able to be humble but being strong at the same time. And that's something that my dad always reminded me. You have to be humble, but you have to be strong at the same time. Making decisions, understanding how other people function, and being able to be aware. And simple principles and that I apply today. And I think that that's what makes the difference in my life. So when I created this composition of Stages of Love, that was a composition on 2018, I think. That's when I started. It talks about relationships, and it talks about, the ideals of each one of us as an independent, as a couple, and then as an independent again. But it goes through all these stages when you feel you're single. So you feel you own the world. You can take on the world. And you mainly don't really care much about it. But you feel in control. Once you find that person that not only softens you, but also gives you the value of it, and then, you feel that the world is much better when you have this person next to you. And now you feel that you can take 2 worlds on top of it, and you feel great about it. Relationships are continuously evolving. I might change my mind, she might change her mind, and I think it's only about time before we experience difficulties. There is that saying where nothing will last forever unless you learn how to cultivate. And that means understanding that when I paint the Stages of Love, I kind of tend to do different colors, if you notice, right? So this one right here, which is black and red, it tells the idea of being single, being strong, being powerful, being you, being a queen, a king, whatever you want to be, that's what you are. And the red surrounds you with strength, love, and passion. And I have multiple of those in different colors. So if you notice up there on the top, I also talk about blue being, I thought that the blue is the color that keeps me happy. That's how I see it. And the black gives you the absolute power. So on this particular case, you have the color blue. Again, happy couple on a very pure relationship, as pure as it can be. When I created the composition of tulipans, I created 6 of them, 6 different colors. And I refer to the tulipans as being this beautiful flower. I love tulipans. It's kind of like probably my best flower, and my second flowers will be the sunflowers, the big sunflowers, the yellow ones. And I always wanted to do something different. In my garden, I always plant tulips. They last a week, and then they're gone. That's it. The entire time, the entire winter goes by. They come up, they pop, and they're done. So I wanted to create a composition that would not only inspire me. Although this is a very delicate flower, I felt like I needed to do something. I wanted to give them the power to remain in control, in their own magnificence. And that's why I kind of like created this composition of tulipans. This composition right behind me is one of the original pieces before I started working with Children of the World. And I named this collection The Walkers. That was the first thought that came to my mind of this. I only have made 4 of these paintings, including this one. This is the 4th one. One I did in El Salvador, one I did here, and one I did in Mexico. So this is my 4th here in the United States. And this one, it's more like that vivid moment of myself walking in that path through the Arizona desert, understanding that there is a group of people. I have no clue who they are, but this is just a cut section of the moment. And I named this composition The Walkers. 3 years ago, I did several sketches of figures, I be honest, it's like my world is an abstract world. I always like to do these very simple figures. I do not like to complicate things. I'm not big on coloring or sketching, but there has always been this urge to create just faces and portraits of something I don't know. This year I gave myself the task of create one face every day, and I have a book, not only a diary with me, but also when I come here, I get a canvas and I sketch. I feel that these figures have something very important, and I think that for me, having a very strong woman next to me, which actually walks next to me, is a big thing. I think that she's the female version of myself in a way that understanding how powerful we are and how mature she presents herself and how she works herself. She has so many things that I don't have, and I have many things that she doesn't have. But in a way, we have come to conclusion that we complement each other, and I think that that's a wonderful thing. When I started Children of the World, I did a 3D model, which is what I knew, which is what I always wanted to create. But then I started exploring metals, like casting in bronze was beautiful, but it's limited. So there's multiple parts when you create a composition that is bigger than 10 feet. So I created a maquette to try to get a steel company that can actually roll these pieces and create these silhouette shapes on a U-shaped metal, half-inch thick, 15 feet tall. And so right now I'm working with a company in Turkey, trying to replicate my concept. So I should be getting their response and at least a maquette within the next 4 weeks. It's one of my projects, latest projects on Children of the World. I think that it will be definitely more interesting to see how composition where you can actually walk through and feel like you are sailing in the air. I created this particular composition of Blue Woman's completely out of the normal sketching and traditional portraits. My composition of Blue Women have all the same particular distinctive dress, which is, a nightgown. And they look at you. They look at you from different points, and each one of them will give you a different reading. So some of them will look at you with so much passion, but there's multiple pieces that you're going to see that have these very strong figures. It's one of my composition of Blue Women, the largest scale of what I have done in this particular portrait. I will put a name to each one of these pieces, and the idea is that I will find this particular figure around the world that it will have a name to it. I created my blue figures. I just love the color of combination, and the fact that they are blue, it means that they are different, and being different is what's different and difficult in this particular case in this world at this moment. If you like more information about my artworks or my international project, Children of the World, please contact me at arts@omolina.com. Thank you.